Hi, everyone. Todd Rosenbluth of TMX Vetify, and thanks for joining us for ETF Spotlight. I'm joined by David Brown, CEO of Victory Capital. David, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me, Todd. How are you?
I'm doing well. Great to have you here. So, we've seen a massive surge in ETF demand over the last couple of years. What do you think is driving this ETF flows? How is Victory positioned to benefit from this trend?
Well, I think first, the ETF structure has a lot of advantages. And I think as time has gone on, and as you've witnessed in the industry, I think people have learned a lot more about the ETF products, have learned a lot more about the ETF structure. And you're now seeing so many different versions of ETFs, so many different ways to put it in your portfolio, so many different ways to asset allocate. And so I think it is, from decades ago where it was not mainstream or it was just beta exposure to now, you can pretty much articulate whatever you want from an investment perspective through an ETF. So I think that's driving a lot of the demand. And I think, from Victory Capital's perspective, we've been in the business for a decade. And, we have evolved our product lineup. We'll continue to evolve our product lineup. We have a great ecosystem within our company on how we create ETFs, how we sell them, how we service people that buy them. And so this is going to be a big part of who we are going forward. And we're super excited about ETFs in general and kind of the things we're doing within the ETF world.
Well, one of the things that's happening in the ETF world is in this year, we're talking about share classes and ETF share classes of mutual funds and vice versa. How do you think that innovation is going to reshape the industry?
We're excited about it, and it used the term innovation, and it is truly innovative. And we have a large mutual fund business, and so what I think is going to happen, and it's going to happen probably slower than people think. There's a lot of operational infrastructure that needs to be figured out. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that need to work. But I do think it's going to reshape the ETF industry. I think it's going to reshape the mutual fund industry. I think it's a positive for investors. The ability to basically access an ETF product through a mutual fund is going to be great. And so I think, in the future, and in the future is probably in the quarters and years forward, I think it's going to impact pricing on ETFs and mutual funds. I think it's going to impact the type of products that are going to be offered. And I really think it's going to impact advisors and how they go about offering different products to individuals or buyers of investment management.
Well, speaking of advisors, advisors have really been interested in your free cash flow suite the last couple of years. Why do you think that is? And how does the free cash flow suite fit into your overall ETF strategy?
We love the free cash flow series. I think it is such a great way to invest. And if you think about at the core of it is we really believe one of the great ways to evaluate a good company is to look at free cash flow. And when you look at free cash flow and you think about, what that means for companies, typically good companies have good cash flow. And especially when you're able to think about it on a forward-looking basis. And if you think of the core of our free cash flow series, it's all around free cash flow. It's all around maybe a new way or a different way to evaluate it, look at it forward, and then do that around certain sized companies, small cap companies, large cap companies. And so that has really resonated with buyers. And the free cash flow series is a piece of our overall platform, our Victory Shares platform. We have different types of products, but the free cash flow series is going to be an important part of what we do. It won't be the only thing that we do, but it's important. And I think that product really is so applicable in so many different portfolios. And it gets, like I said, it gets down to the core piece of, does a good company produce cash flow? Good cash flow. And when you think about that, it makes a lot of sense. The last thing on that is, I think that's very understandable at the advisor level, at the client level. Everybody understands what cash flow is.
They do. So I want to go back a year ago. You acquired the Amundi US business. And that brought a nearly 100-year-old brand, Pioneer Investments, into the fold. And now we have a Pioneer ETF that's out there. What should longtime fans of Pioneer think about this move?
Yeah, no. First of all, the Pioneer brand, I was amazed and still am amazed. The following, it's one of the oldest mutual fund in the in the country. I think the Pioneer brand has been around a long time, and we brought it back. Monday had kind of gone away with it, and we brought it back, and we've gotten such great feedback on bringing it back, and we are super excited. We launched our first ETF off of the Pioneer Investments franchise. There will be more to come. That is a pretty deep and wide investment franchise for us. They do a lot of different things, and we're evaluating different ETFs that we can use with that investment capability. So the anticipation is it's the first in many to come.
So I want to dive a little bit deeper. When you're looking to launch a strategy that already exists into the ETF format, what guides those decisions? Because you've got a number of boutiques that are part of the overall family.
Yep, we have a lot of investment franchises, a lot of investment capabilities, and we really start at the client level. What are we hearing from advisors? What are we hearing from clients? What are they looking for in their portfolios? Where do we think the market's going? Where can we ultimately solve investment problems? And so we start there, and then we try to match that up with what investment capabilities do we have to kind of fill those and address those problems. And then the last piece is, does it make sense to put it in an ETF structure? Because not every single investment capability makes sense in an ETF structure, but more and more, a lot of them do. And so we try to put those things together. Of course, we look at it from a commercial perspective, but the driving factor is when we talk to advisors, we want to be helping them out. We want to solve their issues. We want to help them get closer to their clients. And if we can launch an ETF that does that, then that's really the ultimate test for us.
One final question for you. I've seen and heard that you talking about Victory and being $1 trillion asset manager. That's very aspirational and it's exciting. Would love to just talk about how ETFs fit into that, how the innovation that's happening in the space fits into that, how your boutiques fit into that. Just bring that all together.
Yeah, and so it is aspirational. We're over $300 billion today, but if you really take a step back, we did in July of 2013, we did an MBO out of Key Corp, and we had about $15 billion, and we had $0 in ETFs. 2015 is when we got into the ETF business through a very small acquisition. We had $200 million in ETFs. So as aspirational as the $1 trillion seems, very achievable for us, and we're super excited to get to that $1 trillion. But ETFs are going to be a big part of it for two reasons. One is we have a fantastic business in Victory Shares. We have 26 ETFs today. Different types of investment strategies. You talked about the free cash flow series. We have other types of ETFs. Some are managed by our investment franchises. Some are created and managed through our solutions platform. We have great partners like you all. We have a lot of opportunity to grow that part of our business. We're getting great feedback, and we have a great kind of distribution ecosystem. The other part of it is that's where the industry is going. The assets are going towards ETFs. It's moving away from, I would say, a beginning of a cycle from an industry perspective to much more mature, where the products are getting a lot more specific. They're addressing specific needs. And we've come a long way in the industry. We've come a long way from the beta exposure ETFs to what we have today. And as I think about the next, X amount of years, we're going to go a lot further, and we're going to participate in that. So I would imagine that our business, as it grows and as it continues to scale, ETFs are going to be a big part of it. And we're huge fans of the structure. Love the idea that we can take our investment capabilities and package it up in this really good vehicle.
I couldn't agree more. David, I really appreciate your time. There's really exciting things happening at Victory Capital.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Thanks everybody for watching ETF Spotlight. To learn more about Victory ETFs, you can of course visit their website or ETF Trends or ETFDB.com to read about our commentary on the Victory Suite. We'll see you next time.